Friday. Today's day 11 of Advent of Code. I don't have too much time today, so we might not finish all of day 11, but let's get started without any delay. All right, day 7. Santa's password is expired. He needs a new one. Santa has a trick where the policy is 8 lowercase letters. It's not great. Incrementing the string until it is valid. All right, so it's like counting, but we're counting up the alphabet, A, B, C, D to Z, and then the sort of next digit, right? So it goes from Z to A, and that pushes X up to Y. Okay, so repeat with the next letter to the left until one doesn't wrap around. Okay, so I mean, I guess the final password would be all Z's, right? Because there are only 8 digits, 8 letters. There's password rules. Some of these we've seen before, didn't we? Have a password rule question before, right? So we got like some of these tests that we've made before that we'll rewrite them because, that's the point. But let's see, we need one increasing straight of at least 3 letters, A, B, C, B, C, D, C, D, E, all up to X, Y, Z. So there's a number of different sets of 3 that we need. So we need at least one of those. Remember, this is only going to be 8 characters in length, right? So we would only be assessing for this from index 0 to index whatever length minus 2, right? Because if we start on the second to last character and we haven't found one yet, then it doesn't exist, right? So we'll be thinking about that as we go through. Passwords don't contain these letters because they could be 1 or 0. Other characters, so L and I could be close to each other. I don't know what O could be, maybe C. Either way, we know that we have the string like contains function that's built into Go, so that shouldn't be hard to write a quick test for. Password must contain at least 2 different non-overlapping pairs of letters. So we did that before. I don't remember if we did it for letters or if we did it for numbers, but if you recall, what we did is we made a map of each like 2 increment with those letters as the key. And what we would do is if we hit one that had that key already in the map, so it's a repeat of it. So we made the key, which was the 2 letters, for example, AA. We set that at the index of the first character, right? And made that in a map. So we've got AA. In this case, say that AA was at the very beginning of the string. We would wait. Oh, 2 different. Okay, so this is a little bit different. So we'll set those, and as long as we have 2 that are the same, the non-overlapping doesn't seem to matter, right? Because they have to be different. Let's see if we have an example down here of one with like BB and BB. 2 different. Okay, so I don't know if they need to be unique. I think it could be like AAJAA, right? Because they're both non-overlapping. They don't have to be unique. I think that would be the case. We'll see. I mean, that's what it says, right? I don't have any reason to say that. I think they would say that it can't be a repeat, right? So you can't have AA and AA somewhere else, right? But what we'll do is we'll if index value equals index plus one value, we'll set that as a map value, right? And if we get a repeat, right? If we get a repeat, then we'll take a look at that index to make sure that there's not overlapping. So we'll make sure that that value is greater than whatever that value is minus one. Well, you'll see when we write it. I'm just thinking in my mind. And then otherwise, if like, you know, we get through the whole, so if we get that, it's the same key with an acceptable distance apart, we can immediately pass it as valid. If we get to the end of it, what we can do is we can look at the length of that map. And if that is at least two, right, that means that there's two sets repeating and we'll be good, right? So that's sort of my idea of what we're going to do with these two. I don't quite know how I'm going to test for these. Maybe a map. I mean, how many of them are there? ABC. So we've got these. I mean, we could just write all of them out, right? Because there's going to be a couple that don't exist, right? Because we can't have I, O, or L. That might just be the easiest. But also we're going to have to find some way to iterate these values, right? Set them to, you know, A equals 0, right? And then have them loop over. Anyways, let's get started. We can at least write those, some of those tests. Like I said, I'd only like to be here for about half an hour today, even if we can't quite get finished. All right, so this is going to be like yesterday's, right? We have just a standard puzzle input, so I'm going to copy that and paste it, rename it 11. And that. All right, so here we go. Let's go into main and we'll think about the things we need. String to int. We don't have any integers really that we're working with today. If we do, we'll be using like the index part of the function. And what will we be passing into this? Just the string, right? Just the string. And I think that's it. And what will we be? His next password, so out will be another string. Right. That way, if we send it through, we won't get trapped into thinking that we're doing what we're intending to do. All right, so we can get rid of basically all this. Let's get rid of these two and start with our first test. Our first test, let's do the password may not contain the letters I, O, and L. What should we call this function? Not forbidden. All right. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be passing in, let's pass in that whole string. And let's see, let's find some that contain first, let's just pass in the letters themselves, some of the letters at least. Well, let's pass in one that isn't forbidden, A. And what we want is true to be the outcome if it's, right, it's not forbidden, true, right? Forbidden would be true, right? And so A, true, okay. Let's do a couple of these. Forbidden ones, I, O, and L are forbidden. And the not part and the true and the false is a little bit confusing, right? But what I want is, you know, true to be good, right? Is to like pass this test, because we're going to be going through, you know, as we iterate, once we find out how to write, as we iterate that string to increment it, right? We're going to be passing that through the series of tests, and if it's passes that test, we want to return true. So that's why I'm sort of sending it like that. Okay, and then let's start doing some actual strings. Fails the second requirement, so that should be false. Let's see. Meets the third requirement because it repeats, but fails the first requirement. It does not have I, O, and L in it, so that should pass. And let's just do one more. Remember, we're only testing whether it has that should be true. That should pass. Okay. At least this test it should pass. All right, so let's grab a new terminal. Go test. Didn't spell that right. Got something messed up over here. Oh, I've commented out that. All right. Don't have that function. Let's make it. Function not forbidden. We're going to pass in password, which is a string, and we're going to return a bool. Right. So in this, I'm going to make an array, and I'll iterate through that array with our forbidden numbers. You know, before we, you know, when we were testing one character at a time, that was okay. But I think that probably a faster way would be to just iterate through the these passwords, right? So let's make and then we're going to have it contain, what are they? I, O, and L. Okay, so we've made that. And then we're going to iterate through that, right? Or we don't care about the index. And character in range forbid if, and then what was it, password, no, what's that, it's like str, it's just strings contains. If strings contains, and then our string is going to be password, and our substring is going to be character, right? And if it does contain those, we will return false. Otherwise, if we get to the end of this and we haven't returned false yet, we will return true. All right, let's test it now. What string number? Oh. And we could just add that for now, right? Okay. Try that again, and we pass. Okay, so we have now a test that can test for that forbidden character if we pass it in that current password. Now what do we want to do? Let's do that, this one right here that contains the two different non-overlapping pairs. Grab our testing block here, copy it down, test, and what should we call this? Has, we want it to contain, no, we don't want it to not contain. So has pairs. Okay. And we're going to pass in, let's change some of these. And let's pass in, let's find some that have some pairs. So this should be false, right? Because it does not have pairs. This should be true because it does have pairs. This is false because it does not have pairs. This is true because it does have pairs. And let's make this a G and this an A. So we are here testing, right, to make sure that it doesn't count 3 in a row, right? We don't want it to detect 3 in a row. So we want this to be false, right? And then let's also make this AA so that we can detect true. We need to make this true too. It has pairs and it has the same pairs, so that we're going to see that our way to find the two different repeating ones works. All right. So we're going to test it. We don't have has pairs. It's a funny thing to say. Don't have has pairs. And here again, we're going to be passing in our password. It is a string, and we'll be returning Boolean. And then our default is going to be return false, because we're going to have to like assert within the function that we do in fact have these pairs. All right, so let's first make our pair map. That's where we're gonna, so if we could like have a counter or something like that, but that would only work for like our unique pairs, and we're gonna have to make sure that they don't overlap. So this is how I'm gonna figure that out. Equals map. Hold on. Map containing a string, right? So that'll be the double characters, and an int, right? That'll be the index of where we formatted that wrong. The index of where that pair starts, right? Okay, so so we're going to iterate through the characters of the string, right? We do care about the index. Character is going to be the character that we're on. Of range. I think we're going to have to do like a full I loop for I. And the reason we have to do that is because we got to stop one before the end, or else we'll like overflow. Equals 0, while I is less than, and we could just say 7, right? Because we know that it's going to have to be less than 7, but just to make this more extensible, if we changed it to have a shorter or a longer password or something like that, we can still use it, right? So while that is less than 1, and then we're going to iterate by I plus plus. Okay, so now where's our logic in here? So if pair, no, not pair map. Ooh, we need to make this into a array first, don't we? Because we got to iterate over it. Because we could do a for loop over those, which, you know, we were going to do, but I think that would sort of be problematic with the indexing. So I wonder, oh, this website, it didn't pop up that splash page that I hate so much. Maybe they've stopped. The power of my streaming empire has pressured them. I wonder if there's a good like one-liner. Better to say slice. I wonder if there's a, oh, perfect, right? I remember that before. Let's set it to S. String split password. And then our separator is nothing, right? And, you know, maybe that's something that we should make a function for. just to be able to test it. Let's do that. Because we're trying to test things, right? Nope, we're not gonna test it. We're good. We know that's gonna work. It's worked so many times before. All right, so if S, right, that's our slice of the password, index 0 equal to S index, should be I. This is I plus 1. Then we're going to add it to the map, because that's a pair, right? What time is it? Okay. Pair map. Oh, I need to turn these into. I'm just going to do it within here. Percent, not string. What is a string? Oh, I need the quotes. There. S, and that will be S I and S I plus 1. And that is equal to I index. Did I do that? Can I do that? Oh. Here. All right. So what this is doing is it's formatting these two, kind of squishing them together to make that key. And we're setting that pair as I. Okay. So but before we do that, we got to set this as a value first. We can't add it. I lied. Got to check to see if that key's in there first. And how do we do that? So we're going to be accessing the value of the key, right? Okay, I'm going to try to do this. I feel like I've done this enough times. Okay, so this is the if it's true, right? Right, so if it's true, then we're pulling that value out of it. And then we're going to say if, all right, so let me write this out just as a comment. So let's say it was AAA, right? Then in our map, we would have AA 0, right? And then what it's trying to add or look at, right? So what we're turning is AA is the key, right? And 0 is the value. But as we go it again, I is equal to 1. So what we need to do if I minus value, right, is, so we're subtracting the bigger one from the smaller one from the bigger one, and unacceptable is 1, right? So if it's less than or equal to 1, then we're going to skip it, right? We're going to skip it. We can do it differently. So let's just do greater than 1. If that's greater than 1, then it's like an acceptable, it's an acceptable one, right? It's a repeat, but it's an acceptable one. And we'll just return true, right? We don't need to do any more. We know that it's two pairs already that are separated far enough from each other. It's true. All right, let's see. And if it's not, we just forget about it. Don't do anything. Okay, so we are going to iterate through and make okay, so this is if it is in the key, right? We're going to do this stuff. Else, so this means it's not in the key yet. We have to, or in the map, we have to add it, right? So what we do is pair map key is equal to I. Okay, so now we're adding the rest. And then here, we will say if the length of pair map is greater than or equal to 2, then we will return true, right? That means that there's 2 or more pairs. Else we're going to return false. All right, I think that's good. No, it doesn't think it's good. Why is it not happy? Oh, no, perfect. It's added, suggesting that we sort of use a better thing. So we're just going to return so if this is true, it'll return true. If it's false, it'll return false, right? So we just have to return sort of that, right? It'll just evaluate that and either return true or false. Because if it's bigger, it'll return true. If it's 2 or bigger, it'll return true. If it's 1 or smaller, it'll return false. All right, so let's go ahead and test. Passes. All right, so those are the 2 tests that I'm hoping to get through. It's been 30 minutes. I need to be getting back to work just because I have to take some time off this afternoon, and I don't want to spend too much time not working if I'm already not working late in the afternoon. So I will stop here. I do need to figure out. So when I start next time, the last task, right, will be to evaluate these. I'm wondering. So hold on. STUVW. Where's W? X, Y, Z. All right, so let's look at the forbidden ones, right? So make them a capital, do like a space or something. O and L, right? Okay. So because these can't be included, these 3 can't be included, right? These can't be, okay, so we're gonna just like basically pull all these out. as potential pairs. So let's see how many sets of 3 we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's only 15 of these. I hate it, but maybe I might end up doing the, let me just write 15 so I don't have to remember. Right? Maybe I might end up doing the same thing that I did for this and checking them each 15 times to compare, like with this list of strings. Do I like it? No. It's probably a better way to do it. But it would certainly work. So if I do that, then and I think that it's certainly quicker probably than, converting the like looking at each letter and assigning it a value and seeing if it iterates up one. It might actually be the optimal choice, right? Certainly it might be one of the last things that we do to check for. Obviously this will sort of be the cheapest thing. It has to go through 3, it does 3 checks on the string. Here we do what, 7 checks on the string. Here we'll be doing 15 checks on the string. That's not so bad. So I think that's what I'll go with. I don't think I'll get to it tonight. Plans tonight, but I should be able to get to it Saturday. So I'll see you all on Saturday. All right, take care.